Janice is coming. The Supreme Court will decide a case that could affect public employee unions. Are we ready? One of the responsibilities we have to talk about is our long-term responsibility to the members. You gave up the right to strike. There was no such thing as a work stoppage, so your particular act had more consequences than you anticipated or even thought about.
They're being told you either do it our way, which at times is unethical, unacceptable, or the highway.
So the responsibility such as that is a great responsibility, and you should have known that. They do not respect you. So if they do not respect you, they do not respect the hard workers of our local. It's us that have to pick up the pieces. The great responsibility is it's not about you, it's about us. I think it's time we go on a little bit of a rant. Last month at the Board of Directors meeting, there was a change up in the format, which normally does not happen. But at this time, the general public and some of our peers got a chance to question the general manager and get answers on what direction the general manager in waiting wants to take. So for the next 3 years, we can have a better idea of which direction they want to go in. Since there's no answers forthcoming and we were left out of that picture, one question is definitely on the top of our mind, which is how's the general manager going to fix the morale problem, which is currently at its all-time low? Well, since there's no answers forthcoming, we can use two schools of thought. One could be Costco, and if anybody's been in Costco, they know that it's a leader in its industry. And the employees that work there love working there, and they would give their right leg and a couple of kidneys to work there. Or you can have a McDonald's model, which does the exact opposite. They don't really care about their employees. They franchise out instead of handling the business, and they blame their employees for pretty much everything. And that revolving door is constant, so they can't keep employees. So we'll see which direction the general manager in waiting now, general manager, is going to take. It's just too bad we didn't get to ask that question. Second question would be, how's the general manager going to fix the ridership issue? And for most of us as workers, it directly affects us. I know it's a strange question, but if you look at the bigger picture, there's alternatives now, whereas 10 years ago there weren't alternatives, and the alternatives are Lyft and Uber. Well, what is the company going to do about that problem? Are they going to continue to focus on strictly the transit dependent because of all the gentrification and all the taxation and buildings that are being built with no parking? Are they strictly focused on that and hopefully they jump over to public transit? Or are they going to refocus on the choice rider, which, again, choice riders, unless there's a Blazer game or a soccer game at the Civic Stadium, they take alternatives. They'll take Lyft or Uber. So what makes those alternatives a $15 tab instead of a $2.50 tab? Well, that's a question that needs to be asked. And as an employee, we have to worry about that, like it or not, because it directly affects our staffing levels. Capital projects is everything. But service, again, are we investing in the infrastructure or are we investing in future gambling? Time will tell. I think something else needs to be expressed here, since we didn't get a chance to be a part of the union front, so to speak. I think there's a couple of things that need to be expressed to what went down during the Board of Directors meeting. One of them is there are certain responsibilities that we have as a local that needs to be expressed publicly as well as behind closed doors. And one of those I think we need to delve into is when you present yourself to the general public, there's a certain responsibility, or should I say responsibilities, that you need to take to ensure the best possible face for what you're trying to do, which is represent the members of the local. One of those things is the term briefing. And what I mean by briefing is when you get up in front of the general public and you want to talk about an issue, make sure that you have more information than you currently have or know, because when you get there and you don't present the best possible face, what happens is your questions are open-ended and you don't present yourself very well. So when you get up there and talk about certain issues, make sure that you talk to other people. And what I mean by other people is we have over 2,500 employees. There's 2,500 eyes and ears that could inform you of actually what is going on, so that when you present evidence to contrary to what is being said about the frontline worker, make sure that you have more information than you currently do. So when you get up there and sound unintelligent and the rebuttals that you put forth are weak, then you look silly. Briefings are a responsibility for those who get up there in front of the general public and present a unified face to the local. And what we saw wasn't that. So the responsibility of having more information is what we need to present ourselves in the best light, so that we don't get questioned or we just get laughed off. So what went down was not the best possible face. So more information is beneficial, not less. And we don't know it all as individuals. So we need to come together collectively and present the best possible face for our local. Okay, another thing that is a big responsibility for our local is listening to members. A lot of times we think we know it all and we actually don't. So when we don't listen, we're not understanding what the problems are, and we lose a sense of responsibility to the members of the local. And when there's verifiable information presented, how is our local handling it? Are we putting the information forward? Case in point, when the question on transit worker safety came up, the mention of 4 assaults came up. Well, what's the bigger imprint? 93 attacks from the year before or 4 this year? Well, I would say if you're not listening and getting all the verifiable information which was sent, and then you don't use it when trying to make a point, that means you're clearly not listening to what's going on. All those eyes and ears that report situations, you're not listening. So when you're not listening, you're not understanding what's going on with the frontline worker. You can make all the claims you want, but if you're not listening, then you're not understanding the plight of the frontline worker. Let's take, for instance, that particular subject, transit worker safety. The information that was presented to you, you should have listened to it. Since 2012, transit worker assaults / attacks have been on the rise in our district. You've been told this. 2014, there was 28. 2015, 41. 2016, 55. 2017, the highest it's ever been, 93 attacks. Now, since the meeting, There is currently 29 attacks on transit workers, but you didn't present that in front of the board of directors to make a point which you were trying to make about what is going to happen with transit worker safety. When you don't listen like that and you don't take into account verifiable information, the message of the transit worker gets lost. And when that happens, then we're not together in solidarity. So in 2013, there was a statement made that after each incident, there is a review and a re-review of the issue of transit worker safety. Now, since then, since 2013, there have been 246 employees that have been attacked since then. All of this information you have, and yet you say 4. 4. You have the responsibility to listen to the frontline worker. And when you don't do that, then you're not representing the frontline worker. And a side note on one of our other peers, you had the opportunity to make a difference when you could have. Now you want to pit one side versus the other and saying one is doing more than the other. 29 this year and counting. And you want to stand arbitrary to wishing something gets done. You had the opportunity, you decided not to take it and kick the can down the road. So we shouldn't be hearing that one side's doing something when we still have 29 and counting. And this is spring now.
We do everything that we can to provide the best safety both for our riders and for our employees.
Can TriMet be doing more to protect their drivers?
That's a question that we are always looking at, and we look at it consistently, and then more so after each incident.